You are listening to The Ben Keech Show, where every day the objective is simple. Ben will never stop fighting the fight and lighting the light on topics that affect you every day.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ben Keech, and this is The Ben Keech Show. I'm so glad you're here and joining us for another installment of the random things that are in my brain. And boy, I had some great conversations this last week on TikTok with some of the folks that are following and making comments. I'm trying to get at least 2 or 3 reels up a week. And my challenge for you is, get your kids on there. I actually have the age breakdown of the people that follow me on Twitter. Guess what? There's not a lot of 60-year-olds, but there's a lot of 20-year-olds. So I love having conversations. So feel free, make comments. Had some great dialogue, honestly, the last couple of weeks. So anyway, but let's get into today's episode. Again, my name is Ben. This is episode 38. The title of our episode today, Problem Solved. Should morality be connected to government? Should morality be connected to government? Now, I'm going to make a couple statements. I'm going to tell you a story. So the couple of statements are this. These are things that you have heard, most likely that I have heard, that we need to keep morals out of government. Okay? We need to keep religion out of government, out of our policies, right? We've heard those types of statements. So that's kind of whetting the appetite a little bit of what we're going to discuss today. But I want to start with a story. I have a very good friend of mine named Rob. And Rob lives with his lovely fiance in Utah, getting married soon. And I love going out there and just kind of hanging out with the both of them. And Rob and I have known each other for quite some time. Rob and I are of different political persuasions. I am conservative. He is liberal. He's extremely intelligent, and we have wonderful conversations. We disagree about things, sometimes a lot of things, but we have great conversations. And we were talking about abortion one day and just kind of having some conversations about that. And it brought up this conversation of him in essence kind of posing a question to me. Is it right or wrong for me to impose my viewpoints, impose my morals on either our government or somebody who's making a female who's making a decision about abortion? Is that right or wrong of me? So it's a good talk. And so we started this conversation, and honestly, I would prefer to go back to Utah or him come to Kansas City for us to continue this conversation, because it was a really good one. We will probably end up just finishing it on the phone, but it started some thoughts in me that I felt like I wanted to share with you all today. So let's think about this for a second. Imposing morals, government, laws, what does this all look like? I want to tell you where this first comes from, this mentality comes from. The mentality comes from the idea that we want to keep God away from government. Now, when I say we, I'm not speaking for myself. I'm speaking of just this mentality of keeping God away from government, keeping morals away from government. Now, if you ask somebody who says that, this would have been actually a perfect episode for me to have Rob sitting right here. This would have been the episode. And maybe someday Rob and I, via Zoom, will do a podcast together, because he would be amazing. Because I'm a little bit projecting and putting some words in here just for sake of conversation, since I'm really just talking to you all. So we don't want, from Rob's point of view, we don't want God, religion, morality to be connected to these laws. We want to use science, or we want to use objective, whatever that means. So I'm having this conversation with Rob. I was like, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but every single law that we have is connected to someone's moral value. Tell me a law that's not connected to a moral. Well, you're looking at morals differently than I am, or whatever. And I'm not going to paraphrase Rob, because I'm just Ben versus talking. Well, that's actually not true. If we have laws on the books about guns, or restrictions we should have about guns, or laws in regards to you having to have a COVID vaccine, that's a morality that someone's imposing. They're saying that they believe that that is the right way to do something, and putting it into a law means you have to do it, even if it goes against your morals. See, folks, our society is really just competing moral values. This is why we have to be careful of taking things so serious. On a controversial issue like gun control, gun rights, it's competing moral values of what do we do to stop mass shootings? What do we do? What type of restrictions do we need on guns? What guns should be out there? What guns shouldn't? These are all moral decisions that have to be made. Somebody here may think this, somebody here may think that. Just different thoughts, different opinions. We don't even have to get into who's right or who's wrong. It's actually not the point. The point in a democracy is that within our society of these competing morals, there's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser. That's what elections are for. When we vote and elect Joe Biden to be our president, we understand that what comes with him are the ones that he remembers, his moral values. And those moral values are going to have a greater chance, we have Congress and states and whatnot, are going to have a greater chance of becoming law. That's what's going to govern us. Look at the pipeline. That pipeline was shut down. Why? Because it went against his moral values. He imposed his morals on us. Guess what, folks? Every single politician imposes their morals on us. That's the essence of politics. There is no separating morality from law. They will always be interwoven together. But let's take God for a second. So, we don't want God to be a part of government. God should be separate. Keep God in church. Okay? So let's say that I say this. Let's say that I am opposed to abortion because God made little people and those little people deserve to live. Let's say that I think that and said that. And my reasoning for that is God. Am I imposing my religion on you? Well, a lot of you are going to say, yeah, because this is what you've been taught. Because you're saying that God is the reason for what you think you're saying. But let's think about that for a second. Did I impose you? Did I make you become a religion? What's imposing religion? I mean, let's go back and answer these questions. Imposing a religion is, I'm not requiring you to go to church with me or anyone else. I don't even care what you believe. I'm not doing any of the sort. What I'm doing, if you pay attention, what I'm doing is I'm saying the source of my morality, let's say, is God. Now, just to be fair, if I was going to have a conversation with somebody about abortion, I would not, nor do I need to, bring up God. God doesn't have to be a part of my logical, rational reasons for why I'm for or against anything. But again, follow the bouncing ball here. We're just kind of hypothesizing here for a second. I'm not imposing a religion. What am I doing? I'm imposing my morality, yes. The same way as a person sitting next to me saying they are in favor of abortion. Abortion should be the right of every female to decide what to do. Okay. You are imposing your morals on our society. Now, let's say this. Let's say, well, the problem is you're using God as the source of your morality. And this person here, they're doing it because they think it's a right that's fair and that people should have. Okay, that's fine. Let's break this down a little bit more. Is the source of my morality, why are you discriminating? Start over here. Why are you discriminating against the source of my morality? What do you mean? Discriminating? Oh, that's a scary word. No, you are discriminating. You're saying if the source of my morality is God, that I don't get to have it. And you're going to you're going to throw out a loose definition of separation of church and state, a poor definition, might I add, of separation of church and state, and say that that's the reason why this doesn't get to happen. Well, wait a second. I'm not imposing a religion on you. I'm using my God as justification for my morality. If this person here is using his or her own personal experiences, I'm not judging the source of their morality. Here's the point. Write this down if you're sitting around at home. We all have a right to have our own source of morality. Sources of morality should never be judged in the sense of whether you can have it or not, or if you don't get to say it, you do get to say it. That's our own personal thing. And you guys are all smart enough to understand that the source of morality for any one person is complex and usually comes from a plethora of things. We also know that there's people who are religious who support abortion. We know that there's people who are not religious who are against abortion. There's no cut and dry situation here. But the reason is important. And the reason that this happens is because we want to censor a particular group of thinkers, even a thought process, by throwing around these buzzwords. Morals and laws shouldn't have anything to do with each other. Folks, come up with some logical explanation for that. There is none. There's nothing logical that it can explain that, because we wouldn't have laws. We wouldn't have government. We elect people to impose morality. That's what we either agree with it or we disagree with it. That is a democracy. Nobody listening to this has agreed with everything that any given president has done. It doesn't matter who the president is, but they make decisions. That's what they're put in there to do. I don't know how well you kind of follow this kind of philosophical line of thinking. And the reason why this is such an important conversation is we don't want these types of censorship, this is the issue, to come into our debate circles, our discussion zones, these places, whether it be on college campuses or high school or in our professional life. We need to stop discriminating. We need to stop judging. As a matter of fact, we need to understand that, it's like the game of asteroids. Okay. And in asteroids, there's this like little center triangle, and there's all these things flying around. That's our society. That's the different moralities that exist. What smart people do is they have respectful, intelligent conversations about all of the different moralities and things that are flying around to try to make sense. Well, I kind of think this about this, but I think this about that. It doesn't matter their source. Their source is irrelevant. And we need to quit discriminating against the source of anyone's morality. It also doesn't mean that all morality is right. It doesn't mean that you can't logically disprove something, but these sources still matter. And I cannot wait. Rob and I are going to I'm going to get Rob on this show. Rob would be amazing. The show may last forever. Like, we may have to take sleep and drink breaks, because when Rob and I get together, we talk and talk. And he's literally one of the best men, one of the best guys I've ever known or met. What a shame would that be if, because we had different political opinions, that negated a friendship. And this happens, unfortunately, all the time. Okay, let's go with let's start with the parenting advice. And folks, I've said this before and I'll say it again. We need your children to become critical thinkers. We need them to analyze, decipher, ask questions, look at the other side. I said this to Brett, my youngest son. I just said it to him a couple days ago. I said, Brett, you need to be able to go into a room. Let's just stick with the abortion topic. You need to be able to go into a room that's all the opposing viewpoint of whatever you think about abortion. And you need to be able to explain everything of why, let's say that all the people in a room are in favor of abortion staying legal. You have to articulate why that should be the case, and they should believe every single word you said. We should be able to talk to opposing viewpoints, about opposing viewpoints, but state it from a position of respect, power, knowledge, that we understand our viewpoints. That's my parenting advice. We've talked about this before, folks. We need young people to actually be able to do that. We are going so far the opposite way. As a matter of fact, that's not even a value anymore, to even know or understand opposing viewpoints when it comes to so many topics. The song, it's an old song. It's a catchy song. The name of the song is Truth and Honesty by Aretha Franklin. And I chose this because the idea of truth and honesty and being real and being open and looking at things, that's what I want. That's why I'm saying these things. I don't care if people agree or disagree with me. I want to speak truthful. I want to be honest. And like my friend Rob, he does the same thing. We hold each other accountable in this way. And he also can speak the way he views something or the truth that he sees. We may disagree. And just because you say something doesn't mean it's actually true. But when you start listening to other positions, check out that song. It's a good old school song. A quote today which is kind of something I said earlier. Every single law is an imposition of someone's morality. And disprove it if you can. I'm telling you, you can't. There's no other logical way to explain that. And when we understand that, it's like, okay, so you have your opinions, I get. And then it actually kind of relaxes the room a little bit. Take a deep breath. Yeah, okay. Morals aren't bad. We all have them. Some of us live by them more than others, but it's not that big of a deal. So, folks, that is episode 38. I hope you got something about that. It'd be so fun to this would be one of those topics that would be great to have a room of 50 people and just start popping off issues and just using these as different examples, because it does actually get pretty interesting with discussion from folks. Someday, maybe as I get better at this and whatever, I'd love to have this topic as one of those things, because it's truly fascinating when talking with a bunch of smart people that have different opinions. So thank you, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and hit subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss one single episode. All of this stuff I'm doing because I care about what I'm doing. I care about you guys. I love the conversation, so take part in it. I actually appreciate it. Have a nice day, folks. Talk to you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening. Let's keep the conversation going. You can reach out on Ben's website, www.benkeechshow.com, or on social media to chat. And please remember to subscribe so that you never miss an episode.